Good evening and welcome back to the Imaginary Gallery. It's TJ, your host. The topic of the day is a continuation of one I've discussed before, which is our psychopathic society. Which I say psychopathic, but narcissistic and sociopathic, antisocial personality disorder. All of these cluster B conditions have overlapping parts. I wanted to bring to your attention something I noticed, observed, indicating further that we are, in fact, living in a psychopathic society run by creatures. We can look at our presidents, all of which I understand except one are bloodline related, yet we're told in this country anybody can step up and become the president, but it's very strange how they're all linked together through bloodline, but all one has to do is look into like George Bush and his Aleister Crowley wife, who's a man. Look at their activities, their Bohemian Grove, their Skull and Bone societies, and then look at this Epstein man who clearly has the goods on everybody, and nobody believes that he killed himself with a paper sheet in a maximum security prison. Whether he's on suicide watch or off, those places are built to prevent such things from happening. Yet we have psychopathic media telling us these stories, expecting us just to believe them, and then carrying on and repeating them over and over like a mockingbird, hoping it sinks in, but we're not buying it. One particular example I noticed that's uncovering a lot and fits in this same framework. There's a search engine that's the most popular in the world, that's even become its own verb. Instead of saying, look up something, you say, Google it. I've understood that that particular company believes that every question has one particular answer, which I severely, strongly disagree with. But whoever's in charge of this monster search engine that serves the whole world and is a gatekeeper of all information, also a dictator and controller of this information, a whistleblower came out by the name of Zachary Voorhees, which I've listened to some of his work. You can look him up on YouTube. He's got videos and interviews, but he works there, and his conscience wouldn't allow him to continue with what he was doing because he notices that the company on stage, on television, in courts, will say things like,
no, our search engine is just a search engine. There's no bias of any kind. No, we don't have any blacklist.
Yet one of the documents that was released was called Blacklist, and it tells a nice tale. I looked through some of the words, and it was very strange and interesting. They had a blacklist terms such as crisis actors.
We've got to get rid of the weapons. Can't we just get along?
Numerous shooting events that were brought to us by the media, specific names involved in such events, and one of the worst and most disturbing were the words cure and cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, that major mega search engine is extremely biased and controlling, because the truth is there are natural remedies for various health ailments. Yet I noticed when their affiliate said they were going to be limiting the availability of miracle cures, well, I think that's where this fits in. There's some big pharma god that is in control and doesn't want people knowing these natural things exist. So after all, if they're no good, then why even bother censoring them? The word blacklist, what I'm referring to, it means if you search any of these terms, the information you're looking for supposedly is still there, but it's buried like hundreds of pages in the future. And I've seen how that works. Somebody's looking up a subject, they look at the first few items that come up, and that's it. They don't go on and on 100 pages. Plus, if you do go on a page after page, you start seeing headings that don't have anything to do with what you're looking for. So you figure, oh, I guess that's all there is, and that's what they want. They don't want you looking into this information for some strange reason. It's awfully suspicious. In a real-world search engine, your word choices would trigger the most relevant result. But that's not happening. Instead, like if you're looking for a natural cure for cancer and you type those two words in, you're going to get mainstream type news articles. Things like, oh, there's no cure for this. Oh, you'll get articles that'll say, there are fake cures out there, you must not use them. And it's psychopathic, because the right thing to do would be to share it. But no, these people are greedy. They want you to be hooked on their dangerous medicines. They don't want you looking for alternative ways. And if you're a doctor that steps forward, on many occasions those doctors end up committing suicide. They just vanish. It's usually the ones that are approached by someone, just like with scientists who come up with free energy, they're approached by someone who offers to pay them off to stop their research. Some will take the money, others say, no, I'm going to help humanity, and guess what? Those are the ones that usually end up committing spontaneous suicide. Psychopathic society. A mob is ruling. The other thing is how publicly the company does specifically state, oh, there's no bias, and this leaker was uncovered. Somebody outed him. Then he was in danger. And apparently police came, and guess what they came for? They came to arrest him so they could put him under psychiatric evaluation. Reminds me of people who uncover lies in the media and their peers who are brainwashed and don't want to think for themselves and only believe the official narrative will say,
oh, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist.
well, that's what they're doing with him, saying that you're tweeting out words about our company being this and being that, and totally ignoring the documents that actually substantiate what the claims are, and instead are taking the angle, oh, he's mentally ill, let's get him locked up, let's have him looked at. It's a rigged system. Also how there's no accountability. You don't hear the company stepping forward saying, oh, we apologize, we've been misleading you now that you've seen our documents. None of that's happened, and they carry on as they always had. It's as if they have certain pieces of information they want to steer the public towards, official, supposedly, sources. It also reminds me of that witch, and that is Hillary Clinton, who wanted to be a president, who in front of the world violated numerous laws, committed vast amounts of treason, pretended to be stupid about emails and destroyed them and bleach bit and smashed with hammers and all this stuff, and yet you see her in court, oh no, I've turned everything in, I've given you 99%. And she just looks there with a straight face saying these words as if they're true, and they're blatant lies. Psychopathic society. And back to the Epstein man, I had heard earlier this evening that Jeffrey happened to be one of the people who started the Clinton Foundation. Isn't that strange? Yet,
I did not have sexual relations on that island. I only went there 4 times.
Which was really 27 or something higher. There's dishonesty everywhere, even on the television, and it's amazing how people just listen and put up with all this. You'd think that people would be realizing, hey, we've got a corrupt system, let's overthrow it and start over. But no one does that, and probably the fluoride in the water is making the people docile and making them think, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it. So they just put up with it. About that free energy thing, too, that's a really sad thing because we hear all this talk about how human beings' activity with fossil fuels is destroying the world with global warming because of our CO2 plant food. It's poison.
How dare you?
We have the ability to not even have to use such things, but it's like these same creatures in control want to suppress any talk of free energy so they can keep things the way they are and keep their scams going, their money scams. Greed is at the basis of a lot of this, including like with Monsanto and their geo-engineered crap. There's lots of information out there on aspartame, which you won't find that in the articles that you'll see if you type them in certain search engines. Supposedly, it was initially determined to be toxic. It is a poison. However, as in many cases we'll see, the dollar speaks louder than people's health. They don't care about people getting ill from their product, mainly because it isn't like a person will take one drink of an aspartame soft drink and then die. It doesn't work that way. It slowly deteriorates the insides of the person. While they think they're losing weight by drinking this, they're really poisoning themselves. But of course that won't be told. Now there are some little warnings on some of the packets, like the pink Sweet and Low talks about laboratory rats having cancer, but people just ignore that because they figure, well, it wouldn't be here on the shelf for me to use if it was dangerous. People are looking out for me. Well, honey, they aren't always looking out for you, so sometimes you have to learn to look out for yourself and conduct research outside of the controlled sources, because information is important. Like with our narcopathic creatures, they control the flow of information they give to us, which is designed to create specific, particular outcomes that they want. Well, same thing goes with these other controllers. They will suppress information that goes against their views, like we've been seeing all over the place with censorship. It's as if they want to steer things a certain way, not have anybody question any of it, and just take it, believe it, and condemn anyone who dares to go against it. Yes, we do have those people who are so comfortable in their delusion world where they think everyone's great and out there to help them. No one would ever lie to them in power. And when they hear a person saying, that president's lying, I know he's lying with his orange face, he said this before, now he's... that person will be told, be quiet, he did not lie, oh, you're wrong. And they want to steer these people back into their sleep state They don't want the boat rocked. They'd rather be comfortable in their delusional world so they don't have to think of such things. And I think many times these people actually probably do sometime at one point question things, and it makes them uncomfortable because they don't want to believe that they live in a world where we'd have such a situation. It's much easier just to believe that we're all free and we're all happy. There's liberty and justice for all of us. But one day it's going to be important to reach that rude awakening. Another example is how we have a constitution which guarantees us specific things, such as the freedom of speech, but we're told now lately, oh, that's hate speech, it's forbidden. Oh, you can't say that because it goes against our narrative. Free speech is under attack. And then there's the Second Amendment, where media is dramatizing all these shootings, whether they're real or not. Doesn't matter. They're showing them repeatedly and giving them a major focus, diverting attention with mind control to make it look like, oh my goodness, nobody's safe anywhere. The part I don't get, though, still is that they think that the solution then is to take people's arms away who aren't criminals. What do you want to do, make the world full of only gun-carrying criminals? I would think they'd be saying, everybody, you need to be armed and learn to protect yourself. You all need to be ready at any time, not disarm yourself, you'll be safer. And how that selective reporting, because if you look at any type of listing of yearly deaths and their causes, sure, handguns are on there, higher up on the list than these scary rifles, but also hands are up higher, like people strangle each other, and knives. And the terms that they've created for us, assault rifle, well, I'm going to get an assault ink pen, and I'm going to get an assault hammer, and an assault chainsaw. There's no such thing as an assault rifle. It's a scary name they've given for a semi-automatic gun, which is the same as the handgun. People think that that means it's a machine gun, and they don't realize machine guns have been illegal for decades. But selective reporting would make anybody watching television think that, oh my goodness, nowhere is safe, guns are everywhere, we've got to get rid of guns, which is still retarded because it seems like a psychopathic trick to disarm good people who follow rules. That way, the bad guys will all have the firepower and can have whatever they want. And then we see people like that Eric Holder talking about how we need to brainwash the way people think about guns, and then he's involved in the Fast and Furious scandal where he's supplying arms to terrorists. Isn't that great? Hypocritical, psychopathic.
Face the facts, honey. I am the sexiest, most sophisticated, most beautiful narcopath you've ever laid eyes on. I know you miss me, but you probably won't after today, thanks to TJ forcing me to delve into uncomfortable places.
Tough.
I've got to give a confession. You know who you are. When we dated, you had a little sister. She had all kinds of Barbie dolls. Remember how they kept going missing? And how they were worth a fortune? I deliberately said, Barbies, I don't care about that junk. The truth was, I was stuffing them down my bra every time I got the chance and taking them home. You want to know why, or how could I be such an ugly person who would do such a thing? Well, honey, it's not so ugly. The truth is, when I was a child, I longed for a Barbie doll. I just wanted one. My family was poor. My mother told me I couldn't have one. And I saw my next-door neighbor had one. One time I went over there and stole it, and I brought it home. And my mother saw it, and I got out in trouble, and the whole thing was ruined. When I saw your little spoiled sister and all her Barbie dollies, I decided, well, now's my chance to have those dolls I always wanted. So I pretended like I wasn't interested. And I even heard you once. I listened to the wall. I heard your stupid little snotty sister saying that she knew that I took it. You jumped to my defense.
She can't stand Barbie dolls. She doesn't care. You're stupid. You're crazy.
My magic at work. So no hard feelings. I just needed
Where are they
them.
now?
Oh, I don't know where they are now. So don't tell her, because I'm not going to get them back. She doesn't deserve it. That witch. You just have to accept the fact that I'm a master liar. I get away with all kinds of things. I even had sex with your father, and you didn't even know it. See how dense you are? I have a way of getting people to do things they wouldn't normally do. It's my specialty, because I am, as I said before, and I'll say it again, I am the Narcopath! Good evening. I'm Sandy Hoaxtard with TV5 Real News. It's been a while, but I bet you can guess what I want to talk about. These crazed people. Beto, for example, the most anti-American, anti-constitutional creature with a rat face I've ever seen. Have you heard what he said? How he's contradicted himself? Based on a propaganda event, he's changed his tune from this.
Now, if you own an AR-15, keep it. Continue to use it responsibly and safely.
To this.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against.
That is disgusting. Plus the fact that he's a felon, a criminal, and has the nerve to threaten my firearms. How can he go from one stance to the opposite stance just like that? That's what propaganda will do for you. The worst part of all, though, is this is not a real person. If you needed proof, take a look at his duper delight. Now, what is duper delight? Well, it's that thing when a psychopath is getting one over on the people, is lying and getting away with it. They get this rush and thrill that makes them smile at the most unexpected time. For example,
in El Paso right now, I'm incredibly saddened, and it's very hard to think about this. Injury, a lot of suffering in El Paso, still considered active.
when trying to talk about a tragedy, instead of being genuine and speaking in a sad, serious manner, they can't help but smile. That's the duper's delight. It's basically saying, I've got you, you suckers, and you're all buying it. I'm getting away with it. Honey, no you ain't. Because I can see through it. I think people need to reread our Constitution and learn that we need protection for our own benefit, for ourselves. We don't need to be stripped of all of our protection, all because some political puppet on the news says we should. Why do they care anyway if we're armed or not? Are they afraid of us? I bet they are. They have good reason to be. And oh my God, I almost spilled my orange marmalade when I was watching this man point blank, basically threatening the audience their God-given rights by confiscating the AR-15s and AK-47s. An intelligent Texas lawmaker decided to respond to this out-and-out threat on the American people's freedom with my arrows ready for you. Beto, Robert, Francis, whoever had the nerve to say that that person was threatening him. I was screaming with my marmalade all over saying, what are you talking about? You just threatened our rights! What is going on here? Is this the madhouse? Well, some of these people need to have their head examined. This is Sandy Hoaxtard with this brief news update from TV5 Real News.
suspicious and natural.